And this is what I felt. Thank you for all of our panelists and Jean-Louis for your excellent final words. I think that sort of sums up what we have been doing here. We prepared well the papers, and the papers hopefully will have a life of their own later that will have an impact. Marie will say more about that later. But we had every session people, experts from various fields. And we not just had the commission, we had commission, and I'm really glad, as Henrik said, thank you for all the commission members for coming here, accepting our invitation, and having the commission view there. I hope that you have also found it helpful, learned something, and we learned from you how it is to be at the top and try, and it's often commission is criticized, commission this, and we here in the member states. So we tried to get all of us together. And for this final panel, thank you that we got the European Parliament here, the political side from that end. EMN, who is the technical organizer here, we work through in this triangle, member states, parliament, and commission. And people say that's why it's so slow. But look at us, we're still here, and once you do something, it's gone through all the mill with all these three together, and when the compromise is there, then it comes to the implementing. We see that perhaps in the field of migration, the implementation is where it's still lacking, perhaps more than in some other areas. That's why a conference like this, and it is not just a conference that ends here and say, yes, it wasn't a good conference, it was exceptionally good. And I invite our two co-organizers, the Odysseus Network, Lilian and Marie, to come here together. I think we should stand here, the three of us together, to show that we are in this together. I will give the technical closing words with some information that you need to know, but first, Odysseus through Lilian Tsurdi.
Yes, and I should stress that I'm standing in today for Professor Philippe de Bruyker, who is the founder and coordinator of the Odysseus Academic Network and who has worked tirelessly for an entire year for this conference, together with our partners, EMN and EPC. And a lot of what has come through has to do with his vision. So even if he could not be with us in the end through force majeure, I think that we should all consider his contribution into bringing this through.
He is listening in.
I would also like to thank the members of the Odysseus Network, many of whom you saw acting as rapporteurs, having presented background papers, or as panelists and discussants, and also our team, Nicole Bosmans, our secretary, and our trainees, Bene and Roman, who have worked a lot also behind the scenes to bring through this event and the contribution of Odysseus. So this conference is also one of the annual policy conferences of the Odysseus Academic Network, and we were thinking with Philippe that we were very happy to see again this mix of practitioners, policymakers, governments, academics, civil society coming together to debate on issues of asylum and migration. And this process was reflected also in the series of preparatory workshops that we organized jointly as partners that took place in Brussels between June and September, where each of these background notes that we discussed here at the conference was actually tested and discussed with a small group of a mix of practitioners, policymakers, academics, and their feedback is also integrated in this paper. So it is a true process of co-creation, and this is something that we would like to continue to do, this mode of working with the Odysseus Academic Network. So next up, in terms of Odysseus events, will be our summer school, which will be a 20th anniversary of the summer school, combined also with the 20th anniversary of the existence of the Odysseus Network. So we coexist with the policies, if you will, since we're also celebrating Tampere here. So this will be in the beginning of July, and we will be debating with our members later today at 2 in Veranda 1 for all of you that need to be there, how exactly to organize this event, but this will be the next event from our side. Thank you.
Before I express my gratitude, which is very extensive, maybe a quick also follow-up to Lilian's point. So we've hugely benefited from the roundtables that preceded this conference, and we will not stop after this conference. As I mentioned before, this is really meant to be a process of dialogue, of input from various sources. What is coming next in terms of the output of the conference is that we will rework the papers. We will bundle them together in a publication. That publication will be launched at some point in December in Brussels, and we will, of course, keep you informed. And then we look forward to continued activities and conversations about what has come out of this, I would say, remarkable day and a half. What we ultimately hope to do with this, of course, and where the activities closely linked to the European Policy Centre's mission and the migration program within that, is to feed well-informed opinions and recommendations into the policy making and into the thinking on the EU's migration agenda. Moving over to the more important bit, my thank you to, and the thanks indebted to a large variety of people and organizations. I want to start off by echoing Lilian's words before and express a very sincere thank you and gratitude to Filippo for his tremendous investment in making this conference and the processes around it the success that it has been. I also want to, on behalf of EPC, really thank the background note authors who have invested such an enormous effort and so much of their time. And these notes, I think, were absolutely the backbone to our discussions and have enabled us to have the level of discussion that we were hoping for. Words of sincere gratitude also to Jean-Louis de Brouwer, who is now sitting modestly over there. You've seen him appearing in the conference. He's given us some very thought-provoking comments just now. Jean-Louis is part of our organizing committee and has provided absolutely invaluable guidance throughout. And I think without that guidance, we might have steered off course here and there, but luckily he was there to keep us on track. Big thank you as well to Olivia and Alberto, my dear colleagues from EPC, who have worked very, very hard, including early morning wake-up calls, particularly these last days, to make this a success. And last but not least, a big thank you first to the Finnish Presidency, evidently, for enabling all of this, and then more specifically to our colleagues from EMN Finland, Kielo, Rafael, and Irina, who have set up a conference and provided also background thinking that I think have really surpassed what we imagined that we were going to be able to achieve when we first started talking about this in January. To end, I think, on behalf of EPC, I would like to say that for me and for us, this has been collaboration at its best. I think we've been able to achieve something together that none of the organizations, at least not us, nor of the persons involved, would have been able to achieve single-handedly. So thank you sincerely to the partners and to you all for coming.
at the beginning we were even told, who cares about Tampere? You do. And the spirit of Tampere that is here. And it has been very tangible in that all these sessions, as I said, we have not just been rhetoric, have we? No, it's not just been rhetoric. We have actually discussed and tackled the issues that matter and that are difficult, with the hope that now we can do something more. And let's hope that these papers are the first step towards this. Maybe in a modest sense, in a way, how the Tampere conclusions have influenced the migration issues in the EU. Also for my own team, our newest member, Riina, conference participants know what her role has been. She says, what shall I do on Monday? Well, there are a lot of receipts from you. Please send them her way quickly, make her life easier. One logistic point. But, and also our very youngest member's mother here. Thank you, Jutta, for coming. She's an EMN member who couldn't resist. She asked, can I bring the baby with me? Of course you can. And this is also a professional thing for all of us who are here, professional development, is that you need to come. Thank you. Croatian presidency was already mentioned, and I have been asked to send a little invitation. Dear all, please let me use this opportunity to announce the EMN conference during the Croatian presidency on the Council of the European Union. The Croatian EMN presidency conference will be held on the 12th and the 13th of May 2020 in Zagreb, focusing on the East Mediterranean route. The conference will try to give a general insight into the East Mediterranean route and irregular migration, with the focus on migrant smuggling and the aspect of human rights. We use this opportunity to invite you all to participate in the conference. Do not hesitate to contact me, Ivana Perlic-Glamonchak. But you will find this information on the EMN EU level website if you want to. Once again, a big applaud for all of you here.